In this video, you will learn how this particular tax-free strategy can be far superior than having your nest egg money, your retirement money, in an IRA or an old 401k. In fact, with this tax-free strategy, you can even double your retirement income in the future. Stick with me. You're going to love this video. This is Victor Cuevas with Victor for Advice. If you like this video, please like the button and comment, share it with other people. So let's get on with it. Okay, here is a retirement calculator. And I put in here, I'm using someone that's, in this particular scenario, I'm using someone that's 50 years old. Now, this can work for someone that's 20, 25, 30, 45, what, even 60 years old. But I'm just using a 50-year-old. And that's because I do work with many people who are self-employed or small business people. And a lot of times they will be busy building that business. Maybe they used to work for somebody else. They had an old 401k and IRA. Now they're out. They've been working, starting their business. Now they're 50 years old and going, oh, I'm behind the 8 ball. I need to start saving some money. I've got some cash flow now. So we're going to show someone saving $25,000 a year for 15 years from age 50 to 65, and then at 66 start drawing that retirement income. Now that person might go to 70 years old. You can draw this out as long as you want. I'm just using a 15-year time period from 50 to 65. And so I have a 15-year accumulation. I'm showing a 7% rate of return on the investment, and this is someone that's putting the money in the market. 7% is a very generous projection because the stock market has not done that the last 20 years, and this is net of fees. So if you can, have a 401k or IRA or some account with a financial advisor, and you can get 7% a year after all the fees, you're doing very well. All right. So we're contributing $25,000 a year, and is showing compounding annually. Now these calculators, they can only show compounding interest. There is no compounding interest in the stock market. I want you to realize that. Compounding interest is wealth that builds on itself. In other words, if you have 100,000, you get a 10% return that year. Now you have 110,000. That's locked in. Now you have 110,000 working in the market for the next year. You can't go below 110. Well, we know that doesn't happen in the market. If you have 100,000, it goes up 10%. You have 110, it could go down 20% the next year. Now you're well under 110,000. So that's not compounding interest, but we have to show compounding interest. So here's another advantage in this scenario that's not really there, but we have to show it. So $25,000 a year for 15 years, and you end up with $628,226. Taxable would be $536,832. Now bear in mind that if you're working with somebody out there, they're going to charge you about 1.5% on this size account. Of course, they're going to put it with somebody else to manage, a third party. There's going to be fees there. So you're looking at about 2.5%. I'm just rounding it. I'm just going to round it off to 2%. And just think about this. If you had to pay fees every single year on this account, you wouldn't be anywhere near 628. But I'm going to leave it there for this example. Again, I'm putting the tax-free strategy at a disadvantage because I'm showing compound interest here, which does not exist in the stock market. I'm showing 7% return, which is very generous after fees. And I'm showing no taxes coming up. Okay? Now there isn't a financial advisor out there licensed, worth his salt or her salt, that would recommend you draw any more than 4% a year out of this for income in retirement. Because if you do, your risk is very high that you will run out of money and you're in your mid to late 80s, maybe 90s, and you're flat broke. You don't want to be there. So now you've got $628,226. You think, well, I'm doing pretty good. I can take a lot of money out of this. No, you can't. 4% of that is $25,129 before taxes is applied. That's not a lot of income. You throw your Social Security, maybe your Social Security is going to pay you $30,000 a year if you're doing well, and now you've got a $55,000 a year retirement. So if your spouse has got her Social Security and maybe a little IRA or whatever, maybe the two of you together can retire at $80,000, $90,000, or $100,000 a year. All right. Let's look at the alternative strategy that maybe it can do better. We'll see. Now, when looking at tax-free strategies, you could do a Roth IRA, Roth 401k is one way to go. It's not going to double your income like the strategy I'm going to show you, but it's better than having all your money taxable in the future. So in this case, I'm using a cash value life insurance policy designed as a LIRP. What's a LIRP? Life Insurance Retirement Plan, a LIRP. So you have to work with somebody who knows how to design these types of policies. And then when you do it right, it can be very, very efficient. Now I did a preliminary one on this. I'm going to show you it. I could tweak it a little bit more to even be better than this, but I'm showing it this way now, and you can see even this way it's far superior than what you just saw. So I've got, in this spreadsheet, you see I've got $25,000 a year for 15 years to age 65. And then in year 16, we're pulling income out. Now remember, with the previous example, all in the market, giving generous advantages to being in the market that don't exist in the market, such as compounding interest and 7% a year after fees, well, it was $25,000 a year before taxes. Here is $51,768. You've doubled your income, and it's tax-free. Nothing is coming out of here. Well, you say, how is that possible, Victor? Well, let's first of all go over some of the advantage of using a cash value life insurance policy. You're paying $25,000 a year. This is a long-term savings vehicle, right? This is retirement, not something you put in money for 2 or 3 years and then forget about it. This is your retirement, especially if you're 50 years old. You got to get on with it. Your time is running out to retire well. So in this particular case with this 50-year-old, at $25,000, it's going to provide $332,715 death benefit. What does that mean? Well, if you're over here, in the previous example, you put in $25,000 that year, you die, all your family gets is $25,000. Here, you're putting in $25,000 right off the bat. If you die the first year, your family gets $332,715 tax-free. So you have a retirement type vehicle that actually pays a legacy far and above what you put into it, tax-free. Big advantage. So we have the cash accumulation going here, right? And you get to year 5 and there's $126,000 cash in the policy, but now the death benefit is $437,000. So if you die at that point, your family gets all that money tax-free. Now, there's cash value in this accumulation. I don't want to make this video long because I've got to explain some other things, but we're looking here at the cash accumulation just like we did with the retirement product previously in the market. So you get to year 15 and you have $575,641. How does that compare to putting it all in the market the way I showed you before? Well, we can go there and we see it's $628,226. Remember that? $628,226. And you could only take out a little over $25,000. But when I go back here, we can take out 51. Well, Victor, how in the world can you have less money, not a lot less, but less money, and take out twice as much? Well, this is where we get into the beauty of using a properly structured and designed life insurance policy, a LIRP, life insurance retirement plan policy, for income. You see, when you take money out of 600 and something thousand, you have to draw the account down. And then your advisor is going to take his money out of there, and it's drawn down further. What the insurance company does is they say, okay, you got 575,641. They know from all the actuary calculations that they can provide 51,768 a year from this policy, and it's going to run fine. They will lend you that money. Now, because it's a loan, it's tax-free. It's like a reverse mortgage on a house. So it's 51,768. The money does not come from this 575. That 575 stays fully invested in with the policy, and the growth here is tied to a stock market index. Your money is never in the market. This is not a securities. But there are several stock market indexes you can choose from in the policy that you can tie to your interest. And if the index is up, interest is added to your account. It's locked in. You can't lose it. Next year, you can earn more interest. It piles on top of that. It's locked in. True compounding interest. Remember, that's not available in the stock market. However, I had to show compounding interest in that stock market scenario. But with this, there truly is compounding interest. So the insurance company knows that. So you can see right here that this cash value continues to go up every single year, so that you get to age 74. There's over $1 million of cash in that policy. They're still paying you $51,000 a year, right? And this interest is building up. That's okay, because one of these days you're going to die, and the insurance company is going to get their money. So you get to age 90. They've been paying you $51,768 every year. There's $3 million in the policy. If you die, your heirs get $411,885 tax-free. All those years you've been getting $51,000, and you still leave $411,885 tax-free to your heirs after the insurance company has been paid back. So it's a safe bet for the insurance company. It's great for you. And you're able to get this high income because the money is not drawing down your account balance. Whereas, if you go back to the stock market situation, let me show you how it works. So you put your money in the stock market for 15 years. You got 628,226. We're going to take 2% out for fees. You're down to 615,661. Now we take out your 25,000, right? I just rounded off to 25,000. Now you're down to $590,000. Now, let's suppose you get another 7%. It might not happen that way. You could, in that first year, take a 20% hit because the market tanked in your first year of retirement. What do you think that will do to your retirement income in the future? Hurt it quite badly. But let's suppose it goes up to 7%. So you go plus 7%, and now you're at 632. You go, okay, I'm good. So now you take out another 4%. Now you take out 2% in fees, minus 2%, 579, minus 25,000. Now you're down to 554,000. Let's suppose you get another 7% year, and you're up to 539. Well, you're now lower than what you started with, right? And you're still taking the same 25,000. I'm still giving you the same 7%. But if I go back to the LIRP, the life insurance retirement plan, we go 1 year, 2 year, you're at 663 in your cash value instead of 593, and you're still taking 51,000. Now, just carry on the scenario like I just showed you in the first 2 years, taking 25,000 plus the fees, adding 7% interest or growth in your account on the stock market, which is not going to happen like that. And you see that you start spending that account little by little. But hey, what happens in the 4th year the account goes down 20%? You might be down to $400,000 or $300 and something thousand. Are you going to continue to take $25,000 out of that account? You see how dangerous that could be. You're at total mercy of the stock market, and you have to trust 100% what that financial advisor is doing with your money. Now, I was in that world for 20 years, fully licensed, fiduciary, the whole 9 yards. And I will tell you that the financial advisor isn't sitting in front of his computer watching your money. Oh, the money's moving around. I got to move it here. I got to do this. I better take it into safety. No, he's not doing that. That money goes to someone else, a certified financial analyst or mutual fund managers. They're going to spread that money over hell and creation, 20 or 30 different things. And they're going to sit back maybe every quarter or so and look at what's going on. And during that time, if the market drops 20%, there's nothing that financial advisor is going to do about it. Not one thing. It's just going to go down. And if you're in retirement, drawing income from that, that can be quite dangerous. Here in the LIRP, if the market goes down, nothing happens to your cash value. You have a 0% floor. It can't go below 0. We call it 0 as your hero. But it gets even better because in this particular product, you have a lock-in feature. So those 15 years while you're saving at 25,000, you can actually go into your account, look at your account, and the index is tracked. And you have several indexes you can choose from. So let's suppose you choose 2 or 3 different indexes. You can track those indexes. It shows up there. And if the index is up, let's suppose you're in there and the index is up 13%. Now this calculation is based on less than 6%, less than 7% a year, this particular calculation. But let's suppose you're up, and in this product, you can end up with 0 that year. You could end up with 20 or 30% that year, anything in between. So let's suppose your account is up 13%. And you say, I like 13%. I mean, I'm projected to make little under 7% for the whole life of this thing as a projection. Now I'm up 13% right now, right? And that's 2 years worth of growth. I'll lock it in. And you lock it in, boom. You're guaranteed that 13% is going to hit your account at the end of on your anniversary year. Every year. If you take out the policy the 15th of May, your anniversary is the 15th of May every year after that. So you go in 1 year increments. So now if the index ends up at 20%, you're just going to get the 13, not the 20. But if it tanks down to 5%, you're keeping the 13. Now go to the market with a traditional IRA or 401k and see if you can call your broker up and say, look, I'm up 13%. Can you lock it in for me? What are you talking about? No, we can't lock in the stock market. You can lock in your gains anytime during the year you want. You can even put in a auto lock. You can say, this thing hits 15%. I don't care what it does for the rest of the year. I want it locked in automatic. Don't even think about it. That thing hits 15%, locks in automatic. It's a beautiful thing that you can do with this particular product. Now let's talk about fees and then I'll end this video. Some people out there that don't like a life insurance product anywhere near retirement money, they say, oh, it's so expensive. It's full of fees. That's because they don't know what they're talking about. Now, a life insurance policy, properly structured, can be very efficient. But in the first few years, it's front loaded, sort of like a mortgage. Your interest is front loaded. The longer you have the policy, the lower the fees become because of the way the thing works. So I'm going to show you transparent the fees. And the neat thing about the products that we use is that you know to the dollar what the fees are going to be in your account. You can't do that with a mutual fund or with a financial advisor. You don't know what the fees are going to be. I mean, you just, the market is the market. Yeah, you know what the advisor is going to charge you, but you don't know beyond that. So it's kind of hard. And here I can show you in the spreadsheet what the fees are. What the fees are projected to be the whole length of the, however long you want to have it. So I'll just, I mean, you get these fees up in the first few years when you don't have a lot of cash value yet. And yeah, it's a big chunk. But it's efficiently designed. So as this cash value goes up, these fees are dropping right here. And then you get, let's go to year 15. Because this is when you get ready to retire. This is when the fee structure really needs to be as favorable as possible. Don't you agree? You're retiring and you want a bunch of fees coming out of your money. No. So we get to year 15 and we have 575,641. Now this is a projection because it's based on stock market index. It could be more, it could be less. In the other scenario where it was 600 and whatever, it could be more, it could be less. You just don't know what the market is going to be doing. But the indexes in this particular product have averaged quite a bit better than what we were allowed to show you in this illustration. So let's look at this. 575,641. Okay. The fees for that year were 4,891. Now, when I divide 4891 by 575,641, I get 0.84%, a little over 0.75%, less than 1% fee. Well, it's better than your financial advisor with 1.5% and at least another 0.5%, probably more, that's coming out because of the products that he's got you in, the portfolios that he has you in. So less fees. But let's get into, and look, in year 16, there's some premium charges here. Once you stop paying premiums, the fees really drop. Look how low the fees are. So let's go. Now you're in retirement, you're drawing income. You're 80 years old. You've been drawing $51,658 since you were 65 years old. All those years. Okay? You're sitting on $1,950 for total fees that year. That's total what comes out. And you're sitting on $1.5 million of cash value. Now, when I divide 1950 by 1.5 mil, I get 0.12%. I want you to think about that. He's 80 years old. His fee is 0.12. Would you rather have 2% coming out of your money or 0.12? Let's suppose at year 80, the index is flat or negative and he doesn't make a dime on his 1.5 mil. The only thing that's coming out is $1,950. That's it. Well, if in the other scenario, he had that much money, which he won't, because we know he'll be drawing it down. But just to say he did, what would that look like? Well, if we take 2% of 1562551, that's $31,251. Now you can have your money over there if you even had this much, which you wouldn't. But if you did, you'd pay your advisor $31,000 that year. Comes out of your account. Plus you're going to draw money out. Plus we're talking about a negative year. I said if we have a negative year, your only thing that comes out is $1950. You're going to get $31,000 coming out. You're going to take your income, and if it goes down 20%, you see how that works? The most that's going to come out of this account is $1950. So who is it that's paying all the fees? Not the people in the life insurance policies. They're in retirement, and the fees are low, and he's still getting that $51,000. If we go all the way down to 95, by the time he gets 95, guess what? The only thing insurance company says, congratulations, you made it to 95. The only thing we're going to take out of it is $90. So you got $4 million in cash value. $90 is coming out. What if you live to 105? No problem. You're going to continue to get that $51,000. At that point, you could probably give yourself a pay raise because you're sitting on $4 million. But if you died at that point, you still leave your family $244,000 tax-free after the insurance company has regained all the income they paid you, all the interest over the years. You still end up with $244,000 tax-free to your heirs. Folks, this is impossible if you leave your money in an IRA or a 401k. Now, I'm not saying take that money out and put it into a life insurance policy. What I'm saying is this. If in this scenario you're 50 years old, you come to me and say, Victor, I need to start saving for retirement. I've got this old IRA. It's only got 100 or 200,000. That's not going to be enough. I want to start saving my money for retirement. I'm going to say, well, you need to be in something tax-free because Lord knows what taxes are going to be in the future. We're sitting at record of $34.7 trillion in debt, and we're spending money like drunken sailors in this country. Buying boats is stupid. We have Medicare and Social Security and Medicaid in trouble. And most of the prognosticators out there saying they're going to have to raise taxes. And in 2026, the Trump tax cuts are going to expire, and taxes are going to go up automatically anyway, unless Trump is elected and extends those. I don't know what taxes are going to be like. So I'm going to encourage anybody that comes to me and say, look, you need something tax-free. We can go with a Roth, or we can go with a life insurance plan. But it's got to be tax-free. This is a life insurance plan. And it's the one that's going to maximize your tax-free income in the future over a Roth. Because there can be restrictions on the Roth. You might not be able to put $25,000. I mean, unless you open a 401k Roth. But a regular Roth, you're capped at about $7,000 a year. So you can't even put that much money in there. So you can do a Roth and a life insurance plan. But anyway, this is the one scenario I wanted to show you. Kind of blow out some of those myths that you hear out there about it. And you can see how this can work very, very nicely. Again, the advantages of a LIRP, life insurance retirement plan, is that you're putting money into it. But if you die prematurely before you get to retire with that money, you leave your family a very nice legacy, which, let's go back here. Let's suppose you get to the right, let's suppose you make it to 65 and you go, fantastic. I get to retire now. I've got Social Security. I've got this old IRA that's now grown to 400,000, 300,000. It's taxable, but hey, and now I've got 51,000 that I can get from this thing. I'm going to be sitting pretty good. I'm going to be in six figures. And then you die. But guess what? You leave your family $886,547. Are they going to be okay? Yeah. They're going to get your IRA or your 401k, your old one. They're going to get the $800-something. If this particular spouse makes most of Social Security and the surviving spouse, your surviving spouse gets a higher Social Security, he or she's going to be okay. But in the other plan where it went up to 600 and something thousand, if you die, yeah, your spouse gets that 600 something thousand, but you're going to pay taxes on it for the rest of your life. Why not 800, almost 900,000 tax free? It's a no-brainer. And then, of course, look, let's suppose you get the age, 58. There's $227,000 of cash in that policy. You can borrow against it. You can be your own banker for your business. $200,000. You might need $50,000 to purchase a new truck or something. You don't want to, have to go through all that junk with the bank. You borrow from your policy. They don't take the money out of your policy. The insurance company lends you the money, keeps all your money at work. You never have to worry about begging anybody for money. You've got a line of credit right there for your business. So there's a lot of different scenarios. Heck, even before you retire, you might say to the wife, let's go on our dream vacation. It's going to be $20,000. Go. If you want to take the $20,000 out of it, I wouldn't do it. Just, because you're going to make your retirement income smaller in the future, but you can borrow the 20 grand and pay it back over the next, until you retire. Take it all the way to the years you retire, pay it back. It won't affect your cash value, and you're still going to retire with the $51,000. Just pay off the note. So there's a lot of advantages for self-employed and for business people. And if you're working for somebody, still, wouldn't it be nice to be in this particular scenario? If you're making $150,000, $200,000, $250,000, $300,000 a year, you want to put $25,000 a year to this, you still have this money that's available to you. You still have a great death benefit in case something happens to you. And hey, that's another $51,000 coming your way in retirement, along with everything else you're doing. So it's a great way to retire tax-free. Again, this is Victor Cuevas, Victor for Advice. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to this channel so you get more content like this, share it with other people, and if you want to see how this could work for you, contact me and we'll go from there. Take care.